Good morning. And I say good morning, not knowing what time you're watching this podcast. Welcome to the lineup. I'm retired Lieutenant Frank Borelli, and here with my co host, Mr. Paul Peluso, our managing editor. How are you this Friday?
Hey, thanks for having me, Frank, and happy Halloween. I guess happy unless you're on night patrol, right? That's probably not the
Great.
best.
Well, and so for years I worked Halloween, and what I would do is I'd put on my uniform, take the kids trick or treating, and then go out to work the street. Reds and blues on all the time, little neighborhoods, lots of visibility. But what never it ceased to amaze me was the kids I would take the kids trick or treating. I'm in a police uniform, and people wouldn't answer their door, and the kids would scream trick or treat, and then you have the idiots. And I'm not being mincing words. You have idiots, pure stupid. The guy who answered his door naked to hand out candy. And he looked at me and goes, "Nice costume." I'm like, "It's not a costume." He's like, "Oh," closes the door real quick.
Oh,
The guy who's dropping cans of beer into kids' candy bags looks at me and goes, "Nice costume." Dude, I'm the police. He's reaching in the bags trying to take the beer back out. Like, anyway, welcome to Friday.
yeah.
Happy Halloween. Uh, we've got a few stories to discuss that some of them are pretty slap in the face, and some of them are really heartwarming to me. Let's start out in California, where a new law that goes into effect January 1st goes into effect regarding the use of AI and police reporting. The law will require officers to disclose when generative AI software tools are used in helping to create an official report. Now, before I go into my diatribe about using AI to generate a narrative, what are your thoughts on this?
That you're going to see a lot more of this. That you're going to see a lot more laws in different states, either demanding more transparency or maybe restricting some of this. Exxon, to my knowledge, Exxon's the first one that came out with a program like this that outwardly transcribed you know, pieces of audio and different things that you have on you from your body cams from different things and helps you create that report. But since then, there's a ton of these. We were just at IECP and you walk the floor and everybody has transcription programs, right? That help you create these reports from their data, from other data. And yeah, it's only a matter of time, and it sounds like the time's probably now that you'll have jurisdictions kind of asking like, oh, there has to be some transparency around this, and then you'll have to have departments. AI is supposed to save time, but at the same time, you're going to have to spend more time to come up front, be up front with this stuff, and enact policies and whatnot.
So I think it's a slippery slope. And number one, I don't like AI generating a narrative. I get the time savings, I get the accuracy potential, I understand all of it. And I also think we've had AI to some extent, as we use the term, helping with police reports for 30 years. People don't even realize it, but in the early 1990s, before we even had digital reporting systems, we had people using Word Perfect. Do you remember Word Perfect? And you could create a form where it had data fields, and you could tell the system, if I put something in this data field, you fill it in all these other data fields. That's AI. People don't even think about it that way anymore because AI is so much more complex now. But theoretically, AI helped us generate reports way back then. And any report today, I guarantee you, uses AI, whether it's narrative generation or not, because it's using it to fill in data fields and gather information and link documents. Also, every report, you might as well just say every report putting in a digital system uses AI.
Well,
I think this
yeah.
California law is wonderful. I think it's going to be a time drain. I think it's stupid, and I think lawyers are trying to find a way to make money. Now, can I have more? Like, I think it's great. I think it's dumb. There's got to be a better way to do this than what they're doing.
Well, and yeah, I think what you're pointing to with the word perfect thing with forms, it's more automation, right? Like
Yeah,
we technology has always used automation, and AI is supposed to take that next step where it can pull something not out of thin air, but out of like an existing data field, and then jumble that stuff around to the point where it makes sense. And in like a narrative. And when you look at Axon's program and some of these other programs, it is a form, and it does fill in specific fields, and it does force the end user to, this case, the officer, to go back and like edit the
Yeah,
report.
you have to approve it, right? At the end of the day, human
Safeguard
beings
stuff.
responsible for what's there. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and I know there's a quote from Victoria Kehoe in here who I've spoken to before, you've spoken to before, and it says responsible innovation remains at the core of how Axon designs and delivers new technology. So yeah, I think when states come out with new laws and new things like this, it's not necessarily saying that the technology is bad or the police department's doing a bad thing. They just want to get a
Right.
hold on it. They just want to get a handle on what this is.
So two things, and we'll move on to the next article. One, this is not an article about Axon. It's about AI
Yes,
and the
yes, of
California
course.
law,
Yeah.
right? Number two, the article's written by our news editor, Joe Vince, and at the very last line says, this article was written with the assistance of artificial intelligence. Tip of the hat to Joe and his sense of humor. Moving on, we go to, well, that's another one in California, a reminder of how dangerous domestic calls are. San Bernardino County Sheriff's Deputy Andrew Nunez, was fatally shot in the head responding to a domestic violence call in Rancho Cucamonga. Love the names. Domestic calls remain among the most violent. We've seen now a couple of ambushes set up for service regarding domestic violence or response to domestic violence. We cannot let our guards down. I hate to see any officer lost the line of duty. My condolences to San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Nunez's family. This got to stop.
Yeah, and this it definitely shows the dangers of pursuits, in this case a pursuit of a motorcycle, right? Or at least, you know, after the fact here. But yeah, just yeah, it seems like, we look back at stats from earlier in the year from the midway point. We'll see what they are at the end of the year, come January 1st. But it looked like overall line duty deaths were down, and they may be. But at the same time, you have these high profile incidents that really do hit home and show the dangers out there.
Yeah, keep our wits about us. Domestic calls, domestic arguments, domestic anything, domestic violence. We're losing too many cops. From California, we're going to move to Georgia, where a police officer and a firefighter in Wrightsville were talking outside of a gas station convenience store when a suspect began swinging, quote unquote, began swinging a large bladed weapon. He attacked him with a sword before the officer shot the guy. This is a new one on me. A police officer and a firefighter attacked by a guy with a sword.
I guess it is Halloween, right? A couple days before,
right?
So a sword. But yeah,
this guy thought he was He-Man, Master of the Universe, and came out with a sword, right?
Yeah. So it's yeah, sad ending to the incident here, but yeah, it did what had to be done, and luckily, the officer and the firefighter stayed safe.
I know I'm not professional sometimes, and I do appreciate the compassion that is shown, especially by you in this moment. It's a sad ending. Guy attacked a police officer and firefighter with a sword, got shot, died. I'm not sad about it, Paul. I'm sorry. I think it's a shame. Nobody should ever have to lose their life, but karma's the customer service agent of the universe. This guy got what he ordered. I mean, you come out at a cop with a sword, you're going to get ventilated. And who attacks a firefighter? I mean, they'll arrest anybody.
Yeah, it could have been we always talk about suicide by cop attempts, and could be a mental illness thing going on there. We don't know what's going on with this guy, but yeah, like I said, luckily the firefighter and officer were able to stay safe in this.
Yeah, thank goodness. From Georgia, we go to Michigan, specifically Southgate, where police officers rescued trapped residents in a senior center fire. Apparently, there were some seniors trapped on the second floor. Officer called and said, I got a bunch of people trapped up here. I need as much help as I can get. They were able to evacuate these elderly residents and get them out to safety. Having just talked about a police officer and firefighter who were attacked together, I love to see police officers helping firefighters. And in this case, they do because they managed to evacuate these people beforehand. Um, but there was a fire at the senior center and they were able to rescue people and get them out. 87 residents and staff in the building, all of them accounted for. Two people, including a firefighter, so one person, a firefighter, were treated for injuries. Tip of the hat to the guys who did it is my outlook.
Yeah, yeah. When you talk, 87 people, it's like a small apartment building, right? Pretty much.
Yeah,
But a lot of them are elderly. They're not going to be able to evacuate on their own. And as we see in a lot of these cases, the officers are the first one on the scenes, even before the firefighters. So yeah, tip of a hat to them. Good job done. And that's why, unfortunately, we do see some of these incidents where like you don't want the officers to get smoke inhalation. You don't
right.
they don't have the same gear firefighters are going to come equipped with, but at the same time, if it's like the beginning of the fire and evacuations need to be made and they're the first ones on the scene, by all means, they need to be able to.
And I don't know if I got approached a while back. There's a product out here now called Suppressol, and it's a fire extinguishing device. So police officers could carry this in their trunk. They pull a pin like on a grenade. They throw it into a room, and it releases a vapor that puts out the fire. And I can't help but wonder, like that doesn't evacuate people. I get that, but I mean, part of the story talks about how police officers and firefighters are still running into the building. Firefighters and police officers seen racing into the building as firefighters hose the flames. So firefighters still actively fighting the flames. Police officers and firefighters are running in to get out residents. I feel like maybe if the cops had this suppressol tool, they could have put a couple of these things in there and helped put out some of the fire and made it a little bit safer. And you're right, police get there all the time before the firefighters, and that's just a matter of we're already in our cars moving. Firefighters got to load up in an engine and come from a firehouse. But great story. I love the teamwork. I'm glad they got the residents out. From there, we're going to Texas. I did not even know there was a Shenandoah, Texas, like there is, the Shenandoah Mountains in the Appalachians. A Texas police officer saved a girl, was credited with saving a girl walking on the interstate who was having a mental health crisis after she jumped out of a vehicle. Body camera footage shows the officer Reed calmly talking to the girl before pulling her to safety. Apparently, this was an elevated section of roadway. He was commended by the department for his professionalism and actions. Thankfully it wasn't on a bridge. A long time ago, I encountered a guy in the middle of December walking down the side of the road naked. It was like 20 something degrees out. He was in mental health crisis. We had to stop, help him out, get him some, to the hospital where he could be examined and committed. Just a great story about a police officer helping someone. It's not about enforcement. It's about the compassion, humanity, and helping people out.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. The compassion here. And when you talk about modern policing, I think some people might say that officers should be less compassionate, right? They should focus on just the law enforcement and just shutting down the bad guys and shouldn't have to be mental health professionals. But at the same time, when you're in smaller cities, smaller areas, this is going to be a lot of it. And even in
Yeah.
big cities too, but just the response time and like we said with the fire officers are first ones there. Same with this, you said right place, right time. That's what got him there. But at the same time, if you have so many officers out, there's a chance that one of them is going to be in this position. And I do commend him for what he did. He said in that moment, I just tried to be more empathetic. And then she looked away and I seized the opportunity to grab a hold of her. So and got her to safety. So it's the training for stuff like this, moments like these, definitely, proves useful in this case, and is something that's needed in community policing.
Yeah, and I think it's you talk about the size of the agency, and absolutely smaller places, the officers have to deal with more with fewer resources. But even little like my local sheriff's office is only 110 deputies, 120 deputies, whatever it is, and they've developed a program where they have a crisis response team for stuff like that, where they actually have mental health professionals, nurses. They work with the deputies to respond to stuff like this. But yeah, I mean, saving an 11-year-old girl, saving an 11-year-old girl. So great job to Officer Patrick Reed. From Texas, we're going to Ohio. We've been all over the country. Where a University Circle police officer and former lifeguard, I think that's the key here, former lifeguard, jumped into a cold lagoon to rescue a guy, another person, mental health crisis, struggling in the lagoon, drowning after he had been discharged from a hospital emergency room. Um, I'm. It's good that the officer, his name is Riddler, a former lifeguard college swimmer, was there, pulled him ashore. Other officers performed CPR. The guy was revived and survived the incident. I encourage every police officer in the world, it's kind of related, kind of not, to take water survival classes. If you fall in a pool, if you jump in a lagoon to save somebody, if you've got on your body armor and your gun belt, you are sinking like a rock. There is no swimming away with it. You've got to strip off some of that heavy gear or learn how to ditch it if you fall in accidentally. Back to the story. Kudos to Officer Riddler. It's a shame this guy gets released from the hospital and he goes and nearly drowns. So I think somebody missed something.
And if you see, the beginning of the video here, and the officers are standing up in the water, but it also mentions too that, that they entered the lagoon when men started experiencing trouble in the water, but they couldn't reach him because of a 20-foot drop off.
Mm-hmm.
So once Officer Riddler was there, he was able to assist. But yeah, you think about that, and this person experienced a mental health crisis too. Probably went into that lagoon, maybe not even knowing that the drop off was so severe. From that to 20 feet, that's a lot. So yeah, that's his training kicked in. Has the past experience as a lifeguard, and luckily he was able to save the day.
Yeah. And it's his second water rescue. He saved a child who was drowning in a pool while working as a police officer, while working as lifeguard before he became a police officer. So rescuing people in the water. I don't want to say it's old hat, but it's something he's done before. All right. And our last story, to me, is an amazing one. Fort Worth police officers and bystanders lifted a flipped over car to pull out a trapped baby. And then the officer performed CPR to revive the unresponsive child before medics got there. We're talking about lifting a car. Fort Worth officer and bystanders. To me, it's just an amazing story. And he saved a baby. That's always a good thing. Saved a baby, right? I love ending on stories like this. But there you go, Fort Worth, Texas. Second time we've been in Texas for this show. Save a kid by lifting an overturned car.
Yeah, that's just incredible. And not only do they respond to an incident like this, that you're lifting up that car and you probably, don't know if you're going to be able to save the kid or not. And then they can save the kid. It's great. That's just great.
And a driver was ejected. Both the baby and the driver were ejected. So, yeah, we have the challenge of somebody, presumably a parent, doesn't secure their child properly, doesn't secure themselves properly. When the officers got there, the infant was unresponsive. The officer, once they get the baby out, performed CPR and did revive her. Paramedics arrived then. Both the baby and the woman are in stable condition and expected to make a full recovery.
Yeah, the fact that
That's
they're expected to survive, that's great.
that's a great note to end this week's story on. So we got back from IACP. We had a little bit of brief conversation about it. It's been mentioned in the stories that we discussed. Did you want to say anything about station design? You just did the judging for it.
Yeah. What did say? Had a great time at at ICP and got to see actually a lot of the architects, some of which have made submissions to the 2025 Officer Station Design Awards, which just the other day we had the full judging
Right.
for. So that went great. I'd like to thank all the judges that took part. That'll be in the November, December issue. So the middle of December, you guys will be able to go on Officer.com and look in the physical magazine as well. That'll be the same magazine that we're taking the SHOT Show in January in Las Vegas too. So if anybody's there, you can pick up a copy if you don't yet subscribe. And please do subscribe if you're able to. But yeah, so make sure you check that out. And again, the Station Design Awards is a great program that we're able to recognize a lot of these new facilities. And this year we not more than, but basically doubled the submission size from last year. So it's
21 of them this year.
21 this year. So
That's
it's
awesome.
great.
I'm glad to see it's growing.
Yeah.
All right. So anything else for these good folks before we sign out?
That's it on my end, Frank. Like I said, happy Halloween, but stay safe out there.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I don't know how many people are actually going to see this before their working Halloween night. So
Right.
here's my request. All of you that watch this after Halloween that had some weird thing happen on Halloween, email us.
Yeah.
I'm Frank at Officer. He's Paul at Officer.com. Send us your story. We used to do an annual Spooky Tales Halloween thing, but kept telling the same stories over and over again. We want to hear your stories. Tell us your spooky story. Tell us your weird Halloween story, like the naked guy handing out candy or dropping beer in bags. We want to hear about it, but like Paul said, please stay safe.